Chapter 49, Unlawful Assembly, Rout and Riot. Section 682. In general, Blackstone says, riots, routs and unlawful assemblies must have 3 persons at least to constitute them. An unlawful assembly is when 3, or more, do assemble themselves together to do an unlawful act, as to pull down enclosures, to destroy a warren or the game therein, and part without doing it, or making any motion toward it. A rout is where 3 or more meet to do an unlawful act upon a common quarrel, as forcibly breaking down fences upon the right claimed of common or of way, and make some advances toward it. A riot is where 3 or more actually do an unlawful act of violence, either with or without a common cause or quarrel, as if they beat a man, or hunt and kill game in another's park, chase, warren, or liberty, or do any other unlawful act with force and violence, or even do a lawful act, as removing a nuisance in a violent and tumultuous manner. Section 683. Unlawful Assembly. Unlawful assembly consists in 3 or more persons assembling together with intent to commit a crime by open force, or with intent to carry out a common purpose, either lawful or unlawful, in a manner that will give firm and courageous persons reasonable grounds to apprehend a breach of the peace. Hawkins defines it as any meeting whatsoever of great numbers of people, with such circumstances of terror as cannot but endanger the public peace and raise fears and jealousies among the king's subjects. It has been held, however, that it is not unlawful assembly for members of the Salvation Army to assemble and march through the streets quietly and peaceably, although tumultuous and riotous proceedings, with stone throwing and fighting causing a disturbance of the public peace and terror to the inhabitants of the city is likely to result solely because of unlawful and unjustifiable interference and molestation by a body of persons opposed to them. Section 684. Rout. Rout consists in an unlawful assembly which has made a motion toward the execution of the common purpose of the persons assembled. Section 685. Riot. Riot consists in a tumultuous disturbance of the peace by 3 or more persons, who have assembled lawfully or unlawfully, and who have begun to execute an unlawful purpose to the terror of the people. Thus, where a crowd of persons, engaged in varying a newly married couple, marched back and forth in the highway before a public house, at night until 2 o'clock in the morning, blowing horns, singing songs and shouting, although they carried no weapons nor offered violence, they were held guilty of riot. If 3 or more persons, pursuant to agreement, unlawfully assemble at a designated place, and go thence in a body to another place with the avowed purpose of assaulting another person and upon reaching this place commit the assault to the terror of the people, they are guilty of criminal conspiracy, unlawful assembly, rout and riot. These 4 offences at common law are only misdemeanors, but in many of the states riot is made a felony by statute.